Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really fascinating. It's about shifting how you might see yourself, especially if you've ever felt, well, maybe a bit too sensitive.
Exactly. We're diving into this whole world of being an empath, but not just that. We're exploring what our source calls dormant psychic abilities that often go hand in hand with it.
Yeah, and our guide for this exploration is the book Empath and Psychic Abilities by Sanyana Alaina. It offers a really empowering perspective.
It really does. It connects sensitivity to healing, to trauma, and ultimately to uncovering, well, a kind of inner power.
So, our mission today is to really unpack the core ideas from this book. We want to talk about the challenges, for sure, because they're real.
Totally.
But more importantly, we want to focus on the gifts, the incredible potential that comes with empathic sensitivity.
And that link the book makes between healing your past stuff, and unlocking these other senses or abilities.
Right. And we'll get into the practical tools the source offers for managing energy, developing those senses. The whole idea isn't that you're too sensitive, it's that you might actually have a superpower you haven't fully tapped into yet.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
The author really starts by validating the listener's own experience.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're an empath, chances are, you've felt misunderstood, maybe overwhelmed sometimes, or yeah, people telling you you're too sensitive.
Oh, constantly. And the book's core message right from the start is this big reframe. It says, look, that sensitivity, it's not some flaw you need to fix. According to the source, it's actually a kind of superpower, just waiting to be understood and unfolded.
Unfolded is a good word.
Yeah.
The book lists 10 unmistakable signs of an empath. Now, we probably won't go through every single one in detail.
Right.
But let's hit the big ones. The first, and maybe the most common one people recognize, is just deeply absorbing other people's stuff, their emotions, feelings, even their thoughts sometimes.
Totally. Like you walk into a room, someone's anxious, and boom, you feel anxious.
Right.
And you're not even sure why, right? It gets confusing.
Exactly. You mistake their feelings for your own, which is why, big crowds or intense social settings can be just so draining.
And the goal here, the book suggests, isn't about building thicker walls necessarily.
Yeah.
It's about getting to a place where you can consciously choose. Do I take this on or do I just observe it?
Right. That conscious choice is key. Another big sign is that ability to read people on a deeper level.
More than just body language.
Yeah, way beyond that. The source talks about perceiving subtle energy communication, like really listening deeply, not just to words, but grasping the underlying intention or fear or desire.
So almost like an intuitive knowing of what's really going on with someone?
Pretty much. The book even says when you become aware of this, you can become like a human lie detector.
Yeah.
You just sense the mismatch.
Okay, wow. And then there's the intensity of feeling emotions yourself. That's a big one for empaths, isn't it?
Huge. The source describes it as feeling things at full volume. Like the emotional dial is just cranked way up.
Which can lead to others seeing you as, I don't know, extra or too dramatic.
Right, because your experience of emotion is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can definitely lead to feeling overwhelmed if you haven't learned ways to navigate that intensity.
And the other signs mentioned cover things like sensitivity to noise, light, smells, needing alone time.
Yeah.
It all paints a picture of a very finely tuned system.
Exactly. A highly sensitive nervous system.
So navigating those intense emotions, the ones that feel like yours and the ones you pick up that's presented as a pretty major challenge.
It is. And the source offers this interesting perspective. It says, don't try to suppress emotions. They're actually messengers. They're direct feedback. They're like pulsating aliveness.
Pulsating aliveness. I like that.
Yeah. And the key thing is, if you push them down, repress them, they don't actually go away. They just get stored, like unfinished business in your body. Creates tension, energetic blocks.
So the advice is kind of counterintuitive then, like lean into the feeling.
Pretty much. The book says, the more you feel, the more you heal. By letting yourself actually experience an emotion fully, you allow it to move through and release from your system.
Okay, that makes sense, even if it sounds hard. Does it give practical ways to do that?
Yes, definitely. One big one is using your body, body work or movement. There's an exercise called flushing out old and third-party emotions.
Flushing them out? How?
Through physical movement,
What?
dancing, shaking your body, yoga, even just tapping. The idea is that movement helps dislodge that stuck emotional energy. It stops it from getting stagnant and keeps you out of that, freeze or total overwhelmed state.
That physical release makes a lot of intuitive sense. What about other techniques? You mentioned something about waves.
Ah, yes. riding difficult emotions like waves. The core idea is just recognizing that emotions, no matter how intense they feel in the moment, are temporary. They rise and fall like a wave.
So don't fight the wave.
Exactly. Surrender to the flow of it. The practice involves like naming the emotion, okay, this is anger I'm feeling, which brings awareness, comforting yourself as you feel it, looking for any hidden messages or boons the emotion might be bringing.
Boons. Like lessons.
Yeah, or insights, and then allowing some form of expression, writing it out, talking, crying, maybe even screaming into a pillow or shaking it out physically.
What about anger specifically? It can feel really scary or out of control sometimes.
Good point. The source does give specific advice there. It says if anger feels like it's escalating to a point where you might lose control, don't move. Instead, become as still as possible. Focus entirely on your breath until that most intense peak of the wave passes.
Interesting. Stillness for anger, movement for other things.
Generally, yeah. There's also a meditation mentioned specifically for figuring out, like, is this emotion mine or did I pick it up from someone else?
Oh, that's crucial for empaths.
Totally. It's called meditation to differentiate emotions. You basically just focus on the feeling and gently ask it to show you where it came from.
Yeah.
The idea is that in that quiet meditative state, your intuition can give you clarity.
Okay, so understanding sensitivity, learning to navigate the intensity, that's sort of level one. But the book then goes deeper into something it calls the empath's shadow. What's that about?
Right, this is where it gets really interesting connecting these empathic challenges to, well, deeper stuff. The shadow, as the source explains it, is basically those subconscious parts of ourselves.
Or hidden bits.
Yeah, often formed because of past trauma.
Yeah.
And these hidden parts, these shadow aspects, actually get in the way. They prevent our natural strengths, our gifts, including those psychic abilities, from fully coming online.
And the book links this directly to trauma and the inner child idea.
Very directly. It defines trauma not just as something bad that happened, but specifically as an experience that was so overwhelming at the time that you felt like defenseless. You couldn't fully process the emotions involved.
And that experience changes you somehow.
According to the source, yeah. It alters your consciousness, your nervous system. It gets stored unprocessed in your body, in your subconscious.
And your body remembers, trying to protect you.
Exactly. It creates these automatic defenses to stop it from happening again, which means your system kind of stays on high alert, always scanning for danger. That's survival mode. And it takes a ton of energy to maintain that.
So exhausting.
Totally. And because the original event was too much to handle consciously, it gets buried, hidden away in the subconscious. That becomes the stuff the shadow personality is made of.
And the inner child, that relates to the wounds from childhood.
Precisely. The inner child represents those specific hurts, those unprocessed emotions from when we were young, when our ability to cope with big, overwhelming things was naturally much lower.
The source also mentions something called trauma bonding.
Yeah, it touches on that. It's basically the subconscious pull towards relationships or dynamics that feel familiar, even if they're harmful, or recreate past trauma. It's like the known feels safer than the unknown, even if the known is painful.
That's a tricky pattern. And there was another concept mentioned from shamanism, soul splitting.
Right. The book presents this idea that during a really overwhelming trauma, part of your vital energy or your soul essence can actually separate from your body, like a protective mechanism to survive the unbearable. But it leaves a kind of void or fragmentation.
So soul retrieval is about bringing those parts back.
Exactly. It's seen as a journey to consciously call back and reintegrate those lost pieces of yourself to become whole and energetically complete again.
Wow. Okay, but how does all this, the shadow, the trauma, the inner child work, connect back to being an empath or developing psychic abilities?
This is really a core point in the book. The source argues that all this unprocessed trauma and these shadow aspects act like filters or blocks.
Filters how?
They can distort the subtle energy information you're naturally picking up as an empath, or they can just completely block your ability to perceive it clearly. Plus, holding on to all that unprocessed stuff, maintaining those defenses, it just drains your life force energy.
Energy that could be used for intuition?
Exactly. Energy that could fuel your gifts. The book gives examples like maybe a deep people-pleasing shadow pattern stops you from trusting your gut feelings. Or an old wound around rejection makes you subconsciously suppress any psychic experiences because you're afraid of being judged or abandoned again.
So the path to unlocking these abilities actually goes through healing the past.
That's the argument. Looking at childhood, not to blame anyone, but to understand the roots of these patterns and heal that inner child, is presented as crucial for clearing the way for your potential to unfold.
And the book highlights some common childhood wounds particularly relevant for empaths.
It does. It focuses on three main ones that often lead to specific shadow patterns. The first is this deep feeling of loneliness.
Where does that usually come from, according to the source?
It often starts with a really profound, unmet need for true intimacy or connection in childhood. Maybe growing up in a family system, like with narcissistic parents, where you had to focus entirely on their needs to get by, so your own needs for connection and validation went unseen.
And that sets you up for pain later on.
Yeah, it can lead to really intense pain around rejection or abandonment as an adult. You might struggle with chronic loneliness or feel deeply betrayed when relationships don't meet that profound, perhaps unconscious need for connection.
What's the shadow side of that?
The shadow might look like escaping into fantasy worlds, or maybe repeatedly finding yourself in toxic relationships that mirror that original lack of real connection.
But there's a gift hidden in there too.
Always. The book suggests that healing this wound can lead to realizing a deep sense of oneness with everything, experiencing true, heartfelt connection anchored first within yourself and then extending outwards.
Okay, what's the second common trauma?
It's the feeling unsafe around strong emotions. That happens if as a kid you learn that anger or disagreement or any intense emotion meant danger or withdrawal of love.
So you learn to walk on eggshells.
Pretty much. You might develop this underlying anxiety, always trying to anticipate what others want, trying to keep everyone happy to avoid conflict or emotional outbursts.
And the shadow manifestation is people-pleasing.
That's a classic one. Feeling totally drained after social interactions because you've spent the whole time managing everyone else's feelings. Believing you can only truly relax or feel safe when you're completely alone.
That sounds exhausting. What's the gift on the other side of healing that?
The gift is mastering your own grounding, feeling safe and centered in your own energy, regardless of what emotions are swirling around you. Being able to stand firmly in your truth without needing everyone else to agree. And then you can consciously choose to use your sensitivity to bring calming energy to a situation, rather than feeling forced into it by fear.
Okay, and the third one?
The third is described as a lost sense of self. This is almost a hazard of the empathic gift itself because you're so good at understanding and even stepping into other people's perspectives.
You can kind of lose track of your own.
Exactly. You might literally get lost in their energy, take on their identities temporarily, or just forget who you are and what you feel and believe amidst all the incoming information.
Wow. So the shadow there would be things like weak boundaries.
Definitely. Difficulty setting boundaries. Absorbing others' emotions to the point where you're actually suffering with them, not just understanding them. The book calls it suffering out of empathy, and maybe confusing being genuinely hurt by something new versus just being triggered by an old wound that resonates with the current situation.
And the gift, once you heal that and find your own anchor.
The gift is incredible. It's being able to hold that empathic connection, see the bigger picture of collective consciousness while staying firmly anchored in your own truth, and then consciously choosing which energies, which vibrations you want to absorb, focusing on the uplifting ones.
This whole shadow framework is really powerful. It reframes challenges as clues almost.
Exactly. Signposts pointing to where the healing needs to happen. The book emphasizes that these shadow patterns, like withdrawing or people-pleasing, they weren't mistakes. They were smart survival strategies at the time.
Right, they served a purpose.
So healing isn't about judging them or trying to eliminate them by force. It's about bringing awareness, understanding, and compassion to the original wound that created them.
How does the book suggest doing that? What's the process?
It describes it generally as moving through stages. First is awareness, just noticing the pattern without judgment. Then comes integration, which is the crucial part of actually feeling the emotions connected to that pattern, listening to what your body is telling you.
Not just thinking about it, but feeling it.
Yes. And finally, there's reframe, where you consciously place that past experience and the pattern into the larger context of your life story, your growth, understanding how it served you and what you learned.
And there's a specific framework mentioned for using triggers, finding your hidden stories.
Yeah, that's a practical tool. It uses those moments when you get triggered as opportunities. You trace the triggered behavior or the shadow pattern back to the underlying pain or limiting belief it stems from. And then, importantly, you look for the hidden gift. What strength or potential was that pattern trying to protect or express, even in a distorted way?
Can you walk through the example the book gives about withdrawing due to fear of rejection?
Sure. So the shadow behavior is pulling away, maybe shutting down communication when you feel that sting of potential rejection.
Okay.
The underlying wound or belief driving that might be something really deep and painful, like, I'm fundamentally alone. If I let people get close, they'll eventually hurt me or leave me. It's safer not to need anyone.
That's heavy.
It is. But then the book asks, what's the gift within that, even in that painful pattern?
What is it?
The gift, once you start healing that wound, could be discovering an incredible capacity for self-reliance, for taking really good care of yourself, for deep self-understanding.
Yeah.
That triggering situation, it wasn't just there to hurt you. Life brought it up so that old pain could finally surface, be felt, and released.
So it's an opportunity for deeper self-love.
Exactly. An opportunity to strengthen that relationship with your inner child.
Yeah.
So the growth, the action step that comes from this insight isn't just stop withdrawing.
Right.
It might be consciously choosing, next time you feel that rejection pang, to maybe talk to a trusted friend instead of shutting down, to actually listen to their perspective instead of jumping to conclusions based on old fears, to allow yourself to feel the old sadness or loneliness that comes up, give your inner child a metaphorical hug, and then do something kind and nurturing for yourself.
It really emphasizes that this healing is a journey, isn't it? Not a quick fix.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that self-compassion is non-negotiable. These patterns kept you safe once.
Okay, so this deep dive into healing the shadow really sets the stage for returning to the idea of psychic perception. The book basically says empaths are already psychic, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly feeling energy and emotions beyond your own skin. That is clairsentience, clear feeling. It's a psychic sense you're already using, maybe without realizing it.
So psychic senses aren't some weird separate thing.
Not according to this source. They're just your natural energy sensors finely tuned. Skills you can develop to perceive subtle energies that most people filter out. And the key idea is that all your physical senses, sight, hearing, knowing, feeling, even smell and taste, have a psychic counterpart.
Clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience.
Exactly. And the book connects the development of these senses to the body's energy centers, the chakras.
How does that work?
It links the upper chakras, crown, third eye, throat, to accessing higher consciousness, getting divine guidance, that sort of thing.
Right.
The lower chakras, root, sacral, solar plexus, are crucial for grounding, connecting to earth energy, life force.
And the heart, where does that fit in?
The heart chakra is presented as the central hub, the bridge. It balances the spiritual energy from above and the earthly energy from below. It anchors you in what the source calls the quantum field of unconditional love.
And that's key for empaths.
Hugely key. The insight is that connecting to and operating from that heart space is what transforms basic empathic sensitivity feeling with others into a truly psychic gift. You can still perceive the energies and experiences around you, but you stay grounded in love, you don't get swamped by it, and your perception becomes much clearer.
Okay, so this isn't just theory. The book gives actual practices for developing these senses and managing your energy. What are the foundational ones?
It really emphasizes the basics of energy work first, things like centering and grounding.
Centering. Finding your internal balance point.
Yeah, like the centering meditation it describes. You visualize yourself as the calm center, the vortex of your own reality. You expand your awareness way out to the edge of the universe, then draw all that light and wisdom back into your heart, finding that still point within.
And grounding is connecting to the earth.
Exactly. Super important for empaths. It's like grounding an electrical wire, lets you discharge excess energy, static, stuff you've picked up, and also draw up stable, supportive energy from the earth.
So things like walking barefoot outside, gardening, even just visualizing roots going down.
All of those help. The grounding meditation involves visualizing an energy cord running from your base down deep into the Earth's core. You consciously send down heavy emotions, stress, anything you don't need, and then feel strength and comfort flowing back up. The source also mentions opening and closing sacred space, setting intentions before doing energy work.
Okay, those are the foundations. What about accessing deeper states or information?
It talks about trance practices, ways to gently shift your brainwaves into deeper states like theta or delta. These states are associated with accessing the subconscious mind, the superconscious, processing trauma safely, and receiving spiritual guidance.
Is there an easy way to try that?
The book suggests a trance drum journey as a gentle introduction. You just listen to rhythmic drumming, maybe with headphones and eyes closed, and allow the sound to guide your awareness inward into imaginative landscapes where you might find insights or connect with guidance.
And dreams. Are they seen as a pathway too?
Definitely. Dream journeying is presented as exploring these rich inner realms. Dreams reflect our subconscious, but also potentially our superconscious. They communicate in symbols and stories. The book sees them as a training ground for psychic abilities, even a place to consciously shape future visions.
So keeping a dream journal is step one.
Absolutely. Just writing them down helps you remember and start decoding the language. It also mentions lucid dreaming techniques, becoming aware you're dreaming while you're in the dream.
Like doing reality checks during the day.
Exactly, to build that habit of awareness. There's even an exercise called Dreaming You're Human, where you try to take the perspective of your higher self looking at your life path.
Fascinating. Okay, let's get into the specific clairs. What about claircognizance, that clear knowing?
The aha moments.
Claircognizance is described as receiving insights or wisdom that just seems to pop into your head, seemingly out of nowhere. It often comes with a strong feeling of certainty, maybe excitement, or even physical signs like goosebumps.
How do you know it's intuition and not just wishful thinking? Good question. The book suggests an exercise, isolating your intuition, where you look back at past decisions. Times when your logical mind said one thing, but your gut feeling said another. Which one turned out to be right? By reflecting, you learn to recognize the distinct feel of your intuition versus your regular thoughts. And as stresses capture those intuitive hits quickly, they can be fleeting.
Right. And clairvoyance, clear seeing, third eye stuff.
That's about perceiving visually beyond your physical eyes. It can be inner vision, seeing vivid mental images, memories, ideas manifesting as pictures, or sometimes external clairvoyance, actually seeing things like auras, energy fields, or other phenomena. The auric vision exercise is suggested for practicing this.
And there was that mention of a sex magic ritual. How does that fit with clairvoyance?
The source includes it as an advanced practice, linking visionary work with potent life force energy. The idea, described neutrally, is using the energy generated during orgasm, which is seen as highly creative and vital, to consciously charge and help manifest the visions or intentions you're holding in your mind's eye.
Okay. Moving to clairaudience, clear hearing, throat chakra related.
Yes. Clairaudience is about perceiving sounds, voices, or information beyond the physical ear. This could be hearing inner guidance, messages from spirit guides, or even sensing the energetic frequency or harmony-disharmony in a person or situation. The simple practice mentioned is isolating instruments while listening to music, training your ear to pick out subtle sounds.
And you mentioned it connects to the solar plexus too, personal power.
Right. The book links them because strengthening your solar plexus, your sense of self, your willpower, helps you balance clairaudience. It gives you the confidence to speak the truth you perceive and also the stability to hear others' truths without getting thrown off balance or losing your own center. The Date Yourself exercise focusing on self-worth, boundaries, is recommended for this.
So the superpower becomes speaking and perceiving truth.
Exactly. It also suggests chanting meditation as a way to use your own voice to clear energy and tune your throat chakra.
And finally, clairsentience, clear feeling. Back where we started with empathy.
Yep, the foundation for empaths, amplified and refined by centering in the heart. The Rose Garden exercise is suggested as a way to explore your senses. You focus on feeling the energy or spirit of a rose or any plant to see which clairsense feels strongest for you in that interaction. The book also briefly notes clairalience, clear smelling, and clairgustance, clear tasting, as other less common psychic senses.
Wow, okay. So as you develop these senses, you're dealing with more subtle energy. What about protection? That's always a big question for empaths. How do you avoid getting swamped?
The list leads into energetic hygiene, and the book offers a really crucial principle here. It says, outside energies or influences can only affect you as much as you allow them to.
So it's about our own receptivity.
Exactly. Your own beliefs, and especially those unhealed wounds, those shadow aspects we talked about, they act like docking points. They lower your vibration and create openings where negative or unwanted energy can lash on.
So the absolute best protection is doing your own healing work.
That's the core message. Heal your wounds, raise your own vibration. Fill your energy field so full of your own light and strength that lower vibrations just can't find a foothold. They don't resonate.
But that's a process. Are there tools you can use in the meantime?
Absolutely. While you're on that healing journey, temporary tools are useful. The source mentions practices like consciously strengthening your own energy field through visualization. And the classic, creating a golden ball of peace and light, or golden ball of protection, visualizing a shield of golden light around you.
Like an energy bubble.
Pretty much. There's also build an energetic web, which is about intentionally creating a sacred protected space around you, using ritual words or focused intention, calling on supportive energies.
And what if you feel like you've already picked something up? How do you clear it?
There are clearing methods too. Calling back your power is a big one regularly, intentionally recalling your energy from anywhere or anyone you might have left it attached to.
Like reclaiming your energy fragments.
Exactly. And cutting energetic cords when necessary. This is about consciously detaching from unhealthy energetic ties to people, places, or past situations. The source notes this often requires forgiveness and might be a gradual process, not always a dramatic chop.
You know, what's really striking is how the book consistently reframes these challenges. Even dealing with unwanted energies isn't about being a victim.
Not at all. It circles back to growth. These experiences, even the uncomfortable ones, are seen as opportunities. They highlight where you have an unaddressed wound or vulnerability that's making you susceptible. It's feedback.
Like the shamanic initiation idea you mentioned, facing your fear makes you stronger.
Precisely. The thing that limits you or scares you the most, when you finally face it and work through it, can become the source of your greatest power and growth. It pushes you beyond your previous self.
Beyond managing your internal energy, the book also touches on your external space, right? Your environment.
Yeah, briefly but importantly, creating a high vibrational environment. The idea is that your physical surroundings should support your energy field.
So decluttering, making things look nice.
That's part of it. Filling your space with things that feel good to you, art, symbols, candles. Using things like essential oil sprays, crystals, maybe burning smudge or incense.
Yeah.
Playing high-frequency music. It's about consciously curating the vibes around you.
It even mentions clothing.
Conscious clothing. Choosing colors and fabrics that feel comfortable and resonate with the energy you want to cultivate. And just general conscious consumption. Being aware that what you take in, whether it's food, media, information, interactions, it all influences your personal energy and the energy of your space.
Okay, so this whole journey, understanding sensitivity, healing shadows, developing senses, managing energy, it leads towards becoming what the book calls the empowered empath as a healer. How is healer defined here?
It's a really inclusive definition. A healer isn't necessarily someone with a specific title or practice. It's anyone who provides an impulse, an energy that helps restore health or balance in someone else. An assistant on their journey back to wholeness. You're not fixing them.
And the book stresses that the first and most important person to heal is
Yourself. Always. It brings up the wounded healer archetype. The idea is that your deepest wounds, the places you struggle the most and work to heal within yourself, that's often where your unique gift, your medicine for others, lies.
So your pain becomes your power to help.
In a way, yes. The author shares some personal stories, her own journey, healing feelings of inadequacy leading to leadership, a client realizing her medicine was just being present and loving as a kindergarten teacher. It's often about sharing your authentic self.
Does it give tips on finding your specific medicine?
It does. There's an exercise, finding your unique medicine, with prompts like, what was your deepest pain? What felt like the cure? What are your natural gifts and passions? How could they combine? It encourages you to ask your soul or the universe for guidance.
And what does an empowered healer look like, according to the source? What are their traits?
Key traits include trusting their own inner power and intuition, being really honest, especially about their own ongoing journey, no pretense of perfection, managing their energy well, aiming to give from an overflowing cup, not depleting themselves.
And recognizing that healing is ongoing for them, too.
Absolutely. That's crucial. The book is really reassuring on this point. You do not need to be perfectly healed yourself to start sharing your gifts or helping others in ways that feel authentic to you.
Just being a few steps ahead on a particular path is enough to offer support.
Exactly. Sometimes just sharing your own real story of healing is the most powerful medicine you can offer.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot. From really understanding what empathic sensitivity is and seeing it as a potential superpower.
Right, and exploring how the challenges often link back to those shadow aspects, the unprocessed trauma.
Then diving into the healing path the book lays out, seeing how that work unlocks psychic potential.
Looking at all those practical exercises for energy management, developing the clairs.
And finally, considering how this journey can lead to stepping into your role as an empowered empath, maybe even a healer in your own unique way.
The main takeaway, that thread running through it all, really seems to be your sensitivity isn't the problem. It's the source of your power.
Yeah, it's a journey of remembering, unfolding, integrating all the parts of yourself.
And, you know, the book leaves us with a couple of really provocative thoughts to chew on. First, that question, what if more magical abilities are already dormant in you, simply waiting to be unpacked?
Makes you wonder.
And also that powerful reframe. the challenges life throws at you. They aren't there to make you a victim, they're opportunities. Chances to grow stronger by facing your limits and growing beyond them.
That's a really empowering perspective to end on.